They threw Prince Vaelor into the abyss beneath the capital because his blood was not royal. The court called him fake. The king called him shame. His brother called him useful, until usefulness became dangerous. At noon, the entire palace gathered above the moor. That was what people called the Black Pit under the throne city. Older than the palace, older than the crown. No one survived the moor. The pit swallowed everything. Vaelor stood at its edge, hands chained behind his back. Nobles watched from covered balconies, dry and perfumed. Soldiers lined the stairs. At the center balcony stood King Orvain, the man Vaelor had called father for 18 years. Beside him stood Crown Prince Malrek, the perfect son, the real prince, the liar. The royal physician stepped forward holding a silver bowl. By blood test and crown law, he announced, Vaelor Orvain carries no royal flame. He is not son of the king. He is a parasite raised in silk, the nobles murmured. Vaelor said nothing. 3 days earlier, Malrek had promised. The blood test was only for a military appointment. Vaelor had been stupid enough to believe brothers could lie less than enemies. King Orvain raised one hand. For stealing the name of prince, the punishment is descent. Vaelor looked at him. Did you know? The king's jaw tightened. That was answer enough. Malrek walked down the stairs with theatrical sorrow. Brother, he said softly, you should have stayed obedient. Vaelor looked at the crowd. My mother. Malrek's smile thinned. She knew too much. Vaelor lunged. The chain stopped him. Soldiers struck the back of his knees and forced him down. Malrek leaned closer. You were never royal, but you were useful. A spare sword, a shield, a dog wearing a crown-shaped collar. Then he pushed Vaelor into the pit. Falling into the moor felt like being remembered by something that hated memory. The light above shrank. Rain vanished. Vaelor hit stone hard enough to break ribs. For a long time he could not breathe. When he opened his eyes, darkness pressed against him like wet cloth. He waited for teeth. Everyone knew monsters lived under the capital. Palace tutors. Said the old kings built the city above the moor to keep the beasts trapped below. Vaelor rolled onto his side and spat blood. His chains had cracked in the fall, but not broken. Something moved in the dark, then another thing. Then dozens. Eyes opened around him. Yellow, blue, white, red. Too many eyes. Suppucacious crawled from tunnels, scaled bodies, long arms, bone masks, horned heads, serpents with human fingers. Wolves with black glass teeth. Vaelor reached for a sword that was not there. The closest creature stepped into faint green light. It was enormous, built like a wolf and a man forced into the same body. Vaelor lifted his chin. If you are going to eat me, he rasped, start with the heart. The monster froze, then it lowered its head. One by one, every creature in the cavern knelt. Vaelor stared. From the deepest tunnel came a voice like stones grinding underwater. Finally, a woman stepped from the dark. At least, she wore the shape of a woman. Her skin was gray. Across her face rested a mask made from a broken crown. The monsters bowed lower, Vaelor tried to stand. "Who are you?" "The last keeper of the lower court," she said. "Sable, why are they kneeling?" She tilted her crowned mask. "Because you smell like the king they buried." Vaelor laughed, and pain cut through his ribs. "I was just thrown down here for not being royal." "No," Sable said. "You were thrown down because the palace finally learned you were not theirs." Sable cut his chains with one black fingernail. Then she led him beneath the capital. The moor was not a pit. It was a kingdom. Ruined streets stretched below the earth. Towers hung upside down. Rivers of dark water moved without sound. And everywhere, monsters watched Vaelor pass, not hungry, waiting. Sable showed him a wall covered in old carvings, a horned king, a woman holding a baby, a palace burning above a pit. "The surface kings did not imprison monsters," Sable said. "They built the capital on top of us after they stole the throne." Vaelor touched the carving of the baby. His fingers trembled. "My mother, Princess Lyrain of the lower court, last daughter of the Abyss Crown, taken during a treaty feast, murdered when she tried to send you home." The cavern seemed to tilt. Vaelor remembered his mother in fragments. Dark hair, warm hands, a ring shaped like a sleeping beast. Then sickness, they said. A weak heart, they said. Another lie placed neatly on a royal pillow. Sable pointed to Vaelor's chest. "They tested your blood for royal flame. Of course they found none. The stolen crown burns gold. Yours answers to the dark below." A growl echoed through the cavern. The antlered wolfman approached with a stone basin. Inside was black water. "Look." Vaelor leaned over the basin. His reflection changed. Not a prince in torn silk, a young man with black marks rising along his neck. Behind him, a shadow crown opened. The monsters whispered, "Moorborn, Abyss heir." Vaelor stepped back. "I do not want a crown." Sable's voice softened. "No worthy heir ever does." For 30 days, the moor remade him. Sable taught him the old language of beasts, spoken with wounds, promises, and names. Every monster had a true name. Say it wrongly, and it killed you. Say it fully, and it chose whether to obey. The antlered beast was Thorniveen, last warhound of the lower gate. The serpent with human fingers was Eshka, memory keeper of drowned tunnels. The mirror-eyed shadowling was Vey. They were not pets. They were a people the palace had renamed monsters, so stealing their city would feel clean. Vaelor learned to fight in darkness, speak old names, and bleed without flinching. The first time he spoke Thorniveen's true name, the warhound bit him. The third time, it walked beside him. On the 30th day, Sable brought Vaelor to a throne room beneath the palace. The throne was made from black stone and broken swords. Above it, Vaelor could hear celebration drums. His public death had ended the succession dispute. Crown Prince Malrek would be crowned at dawn. Sable placed a black blade at Vaelor's feet. "Return tonight, and the lower court follows." Vaelor stared at the blade. "How many die?" "As many as you order." That answer should have pleased him. It did not. The palace was guilty, not everyone inside it was. Vaelor lifted the blade. Then they follow my rules. No children, no servants, no prisoners who drop weapons. Sable watched him carefully. And the royal family, they had 18 years to show mercy. At midnight, the monsters climbed through drains, forgotten wells, old tunnels, and cracks kings pretended were only stone. The coronation hall glittered with gold. Malrek stood before the throne in white armor. King Orvain sat beside the crown. Then every candle went black, a servant screamed. The floor split. Thorniveen rose from the marble with Vaelor beside him. The hall froze. Someone dropped a golden cup. Malrek stared as if ghosts had insulted him. Vaelor looked at his brother. "You missed my funeral." King Orvain stood too quickly. "Impossible." "No," Vaelor said. "Just inconvenient." Guards charged. Vaelor spoke 3 true names. Shadows swallowed their weapons. Thorniveen shattered the front line without killing them. Eshka plucked crossbows from noble hands. They wore the face of every man's worst fear. Malrek drew his sword. "You brought beasts into the royal hall. I brought citizens home." The word struck the room harder than magic. Sable emerged from the cracked floor behind him, crowned mask gleaming. King Orvain's face drained of blood. "You," Sable bowed, "murderer." Vaelor raised one hand. The doors slammed shut. "No one leaves until truth does." Eshka opened her mouth and released stolen memories. Images filled the air. King Orvain ordering Princess Lyrane murdered. Malrek bribing the physician replacing Vaelor's blood sample. Noble houses sending prisoners into the moor for sport. Truth was ugly when it stopped serving dinner. Malrek attacked while everyone watched the memories. His blade drove toward Vaelor's back, desperate, cowardly. Vaelor turned without looking. He caught the blade in his bare hand. The abyss marks on his skin opened like eyes. Malrek tried to pull back. He could not. "You were my brother," Vaelor said. Malrek's face twisted. "You were a thing wearing my family's name." Vaelor stepped closer. "And still I loved you." For 1 second, that hurt more than any blade. Then Vaelor broke his sword. King Orvain shouted, "Enough." The old king descended with a ceremonial dagger. "I raised you." Vaelor looked at him. "You used me. I gave you food, clothes, education. You gave me a leash and called it silk." The king's voice cracked. "You are not fit to rule." Vaelor looked around the hall, at nobles shaking in their jewels, at servants weeping near the walls, at monsters waiting beneath old wounds. "Maybe not your kingdom," Vaelor said. He drove the black blade into the marble floor. The palace shook. Far below, the moor answered, not as a pit, as a city waking. The throne cracked down the center. Gold peeled from the walls in long strips. Vaelor's voice deepened. "By the blood you tried to erase, by the crown you buried, by the names you turned into monsters, I claim the lower court." Every creature in the palace knelt. Then the servants knelt too. Not from fear alone, from recognition. They had known what the palace was. They had simply never seen someone survive it. Malrek remained standing, shaking with rage. Vaelor could have killed him. Instead, he gave an order. "Take the prince to the moor." Malrek went pale. Vaelor leaned close. "Do not worry. I will not throw you in." Relief flickered. Vaelor smiled without warmth. "You will walk down, step by step. You will see every tunnel your family fed with bodies. You will learn every name you called monster. And if one of them forgives you, you may return." Thornavine dragged him away. King Orvain lifted the dagger toward his own throat. Sable moved to stop him. Vaelor raised a hand. "No." The hall went silent. Vaelor walked to the old king. "If you die now, they will call it honor." He took the dagger from Orvain's trembling hand. "You will live long enough to be remembered correctly." At dawn, the capital found the palace gates open. No royal guards stood outside. Black banners hung from the walls, marked with a horned crown no one had seen for 300 years. Vaelor stood on the balcony where he had once been sentenced. Below him gathered nobles, soldiers, servants, and thousands from the lower districts. Behind him waited monsters. Beside him stood Sable. At his feet knelt Orvain in chains. Vaelor looked over the city. "I was thrown into the moor because they said I was not royal," he said. "They were right," the crowd whispered. Vaelor lifted his marked hand. "I am something older." The ground trembled. From drains, alleys, and wells, the lower court emerged into daylight for the first time in centuries. Some people screamed, some ran, some saw the chains on the monster's wrists and stopped screaming. Vaelor continued. "The palace called them beasts because it was easier than calling them victims. That ends today. The upper city will not be slaughtered. The lower court will not be buried. Those who fed the moor will answer. Those who were silent will work. Those who were afraid will learn the difference between fear and guilt." He looked at the chained king, "and those who stole crowns will watch them returned." Sable offered him the abyss crown, black metal, horned. Vaelor did not let her place it on his head. He took it himself. The crowd watched as the fake prince crowned himself king beneath their feet. No cheer came at first. Then a child in the lower crowd raised one fist. Others followed. A sound rose through the capital. Not celebration, not yet. Something rougher. That night, Vaelor entered the throne room alone. The surface crown lay broken on the floor. The abyss crown rested on his head. He should have felt victorious. Instead, he felt every eye waiting for him. Sable appeared beside the cracked throne. "You spared too many. I killed enough. Mercy can become a tunnel for enemies. So can revenge." She studied him. "You speak like a king." "No," Vaelor said. "I speak like someone who knows what pits are for." Before Sable could answer, the black blade began to shake. The moor opened wider, too wide. A wind rose from below, carrying voices Vaelor did not know. Thornavine growled. Sable turned toward the floor. "That is not our court." From the darkness below came a slow knock once, twice, 3 times. Vaelor gripped the black blade. A voice whispered up from deeper than the moor. "Little king, You opened our prison roof. Every monster in the palace lowered its head, not in loyalty. In fear, Vaelor looked into the crack beneath the throne. He had survived betrayal. He had claimed the monsters. He had taken the palace. But the abyss had levels no crown had warned him about. He smiled anyway. They had thrown him into the dark to die. Instead, the dark had named him king. And if something deeper wanted the throne beneath his throne, then it would have to climb up and ask him properly. Above the city, dawn touched the black banners, and none of them ever lowered again.